Season 1 of 2025. Let's see what sort of adventures that it has in store. And pace cars. Way through the corner. That wasn't the crest doing him dirty.
There right off the beginning is something you probably want to monopolize on right away, honestly, in a rain race.
Involved in that as well. Godin, I believe, is a newer racer. Oh, and that's a big crash coming out of the corner. Right as I was mentioning all of those racers, that... We saw him have that off-track moment not terribly long ago, and he has come back from a... Oh my God, that's a big wreck coming out of turn number 4. Multiple cars around. A little bit of contact going to Chris Montgomery as well. I saw that car kind of jerk around a little bit through that corner, but you can see Montgomery maybe got to size up a move on Colacio, as Colacio may try and get a move on. That is 5-6 cars covered by just about nothing on this racetrack. Nearly 4 wide through the corner. Look at Colacio going in way deep into turn 5. He's got to lose out on that spot on Chris Montgomery and Colacio. Too long contact being... Weak finally, Formula V Weekend Warriors crash him up wreckfest at the checkered flag. May God have mercy on both Josh and I's graphics cards because the amount of dust. Well, hello and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Slow Motion Broadcasting, and welcome back to the Formula V Weekend Warriors. This is round number 10 of the season, coming to you today from Summit Point. My name is Ron Mullins, and alongside me, working the comms and the cams, is Joshua Wilkie. We're in the double digits now for this season, which, unlike a family friend who told me back when I was 10 that I could swear after that, actually means we're coming to the end of this season. Josh, it's been a topsy-turvy, wild, and exciting ride to get to this point in the season, but we're now officially into crunch time.
Yeah, absolutely, Ron. It's definitely getting near the end of the season here for sure. Round 10, only a couple left, and I think we're actually missing a couple key players today due to the Bathurst 12, which we obviously wish them good luck on today. But we have an absolutely packed field today with a bunch of new drivers as well, and some of the old drivers too. So we're definitely going to have a pretty good dice up, I think, around Summit Point today. A track everybody knows pretty well. We've all been here many times in our iRacing careers, of course. Early on in your iRacing career, you'll probably have visited here a few times. It is on the free content. It has gotten a bit of a refresh in the last little while, so it's looking pretty good these days. And I think everybody's going to be pretty racy around here, Ron.
Yeah, we've seen a couple of these Formula V Weekend Warriors events here on Slow Motion Broadcasting around this racetrack. In fact, I think the very first Formula V Weekend Warriors broadcast here on Slow Motion Broadcasting was done at this very track. Myself and Tim Cox were on the call for that back in the summer of 2024. But this track plays host to some brilliant racing action, regardless of what kind of cars you're running around here. I even think the 1987 NASCAR Historic Cup cars could put on a really good show around here. The Formula Vs, of course, being no exception. And we've got a stacked grid of drivers as well. You mentioned a couple of moments ago how we are missing a few of the regular Weekend Warrior staples, one of which being Monty. That's not going to affect him too much. I actually said rather bemusingly to Mr. Stevie Ray earlier on when he told us the fact that Jorg wasn't going to be present for this race, that it's an absolute shame for him. That's going to be real rough. His championship points lead in the Weekend Warriors now going to go down from 1 million points to 999,992. So really rough go of things for him. But I think before we move along any further for this broadcast, let's take a look at the point standings, because it has been a brilliant season up to this point. Lots of heavy hitters, lots of great races. With only 3 rounds left to go, we are expecting the championship fights to be incredibly compelling. Tortolo finds himself in the championship lead after Jason Green took a 1-week hiatus and actually joined us in the commentary booth 1 week ago at Alton Park. Those two running P1 and P2 in the Spec 1 point standings. Tolo standing at a nice 683 points. Jason Green only 23 back. You find Nate Coliseo slot in third, Suleiman Khan and Jesus Rodriguez rounding out your top 5 in the Spec 1 category. We'll give a quick mention to our SMB colleague, Mr. Guido Marzuki. You can catch on the production duties for tomorrow's Weekend Warriors shows. So that's how it's looking in Spec 1. We're going to move on to Spec 2 now, where it has been a real exciting season. But Michelle Lynn, in her Spec 2 return, who's actually the sponsor of today's broadcast, who I will mention in a couple of moments' time, she's been quick all throughout this season and finds herself in the championship lead in the Spec 2 category. Only has 1 Spec 2 win thus far this season, that coming at Sebring a couple of weeks ago, but still in the championship lead over Andrew Love in P2, Travis Rail running at your top 3 in the Spec 2 category. So that's how it looks over in Spec 2. We're going to take a quick little gander at the Masters points. Jorg Monty, as I mentioned in a joking manner a couple of moments ago, I've been on an iRacing esports show for the past 3 hours, so this is probably not correct language to say, but he's been kicking ass and taking names thus far this season, has Jorg Monty. Finds himself in the championship lead at 729 points, nearly 200 points in front of series admin Jim Brewster. Nick Tullo go round out to top 3 in the Masters category. Jorg Monty has been an unstoppable force thus far, not only in the Formula Vs, not only in the Formula Fords, where he's basically sealed the deal in that class as well, but in the Spec Racing Fords as well. If it wasn't for the fact he's participating in the Bathurst 12 hour at the moment, he would find himself within a really good shot of being your top point scorer in all of the classes. So absolutely brilliant stuff from Yorgmani thus far this season. But as we're in practice, let's take a quick little track guide, riding on board with Parviner Ladar, heading down into turn number 1, the hairpin, the premier overtaking opportunity around this racetrack, the heaviest braking zone for sure, getting back on the power, careening your way through turn number 2, and let's see the run into turn number 3. One of the hardest corners around this racetrack, that menacing gravel trap on the outside, hungry for your safety rating. Hit that curb a little bit on the inside is usually the ideal line that we saw from Montgomery. Ladar not really doing that, running wide, ending up in the gravel trap. Not ideal for these racers, doubly so considering there is some incident point violations that can rear their head. That was turn number 4. We just saw Ladar go through a couple of moments ago. Now through into the tight twisties is turn number 5, into turn number 6. That's a careen our way into turn number 7 with asphalt patchier than my face when I was 14. This section of the racetrack is really tough to try and get right. Through turn number 8 right now, and about to head our way off into the second to last corner of 9, gaining that speed, gaining the momentum, and keeping your foot buried into that accelerator pedal, going under the bridge in the small little flat out blast between the final 2 corners of the lap. Ladar going to have a clean run through this final corner. This is turn number 10, completing a lap of Summit Point after a brief run down the start-finish straightaway. The start-finish line not back there, the start-finish line is right about there. And that's going to be a big factor come time for the end of this race, Josh.
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely the best run, and you can kind of get a run out of that last corner, and maybe, you might be in third, you might be in fourth, you might be able to make it into first by that start line there today. So we've seen lots of really close racing around here, Ron. Summit Point is just an awesome track, period. They probably wouldn't make a track like this anymore. Oh, as we see a huge crash there into the barriers. Looked kind of intentional there. There is a jump there, of course, that I'm sure we'll be hitting near the end of the race. But yeah, very technical track, kind of narrow, really fast, perfect for cars like this. Absolutely perfect for these days. Some of the bigger, faster cars might be a little bit too much for a track like this, but these ones just race around here really good, and they always have. We should have a pretty good race with them today, I think.
Yeah, this is going to be a brilliant day of racing action. 30-minute long race that we have coming up. And you mentioned earlier on, Josh, talking about the drivers that we're going to be seeing in this series. Of course, you got the usual heavy hitters, Jason Grider, who are following right now. He's part of slow motion racing in the Bathurst 12-hour right now, so we wish all the slow motion racing teams the best of luck as they tackle that brilliant race. Affected by rain, at least in terms of the top split one that I was part of the broadcast on about like 30 minutes before this broadcast started. I haven't had breakfast or lunch today. I am running out of gas. So if I sound like I'm speaking in tongues throughout this broadcast, it'll be business as usual. The checkered flag out in this practice session. Yeah, bring me. I'll take. I'll even take Burger King at this rate. Of course, slow motion broadcasting not sponsored anyway by Burger King. I doubt they would after I just trashed their restaurant a couple of moments ago. I'm gonna refrain from any more comments like that because that would be nice to get some good corporate sponsors here into SMB. But the point I was going to raise before I went off on that long little menagerie about me being hungry is we got the usual heavy hitters here in the Weekend Warrior Series. Dan Szynski coming back, the brand new father. We wish the Szynskis the best with them bringing a new child into the world. We got some new drivers who we've either seen in the Ray Esports Club Series every now and then, or we haven't seen really in my entire time being a part of the Ray Esports / Weekend Warriors world. Here's Murphy Nichols in the number 55 car, an SCCA racer in real life, currently tackling turn number 3. He's not alone in terms of the newcomers to this series. Some familiar names, the Isleys making their appearance of real life Formula V's, a father-son duo, I believe, out here on the racetrack, at least Tripp currently is. The Huffmans, Jameson and Justin, the father-son duo, they're out there on the racetrack as it stands currently. IMSA Michelin pilot driver and part of Ray Esports royalty, Mr. Morgan Burkhardt in the number 2 car, the number stealing bastard, is currently out there on the racetrack. That, actually that's mean. Morgan has made more of a living out of this racing stuff as a driver than I ever even had a hope and a prayer of doing. So he could take the possession of number 2. I'm just going to hold on to my precious little microphone. There's Burkhardt hanging his way through turn number 3 right now. I'm going to look through. There's some more drivers that we've got running in this race whose names are blanking out of my head. Kane Lasky, a driver who we usually see in the Formula Fords, running in the Formula Vs here today. And I'm looking through because there are some other names. John Carlos Schooler in the number 21 car. He's making his appearance as well. We'll call him the Rat Pack of Schooler Schuler, Nichols, Huffman, and Burkhardt. A lot of them young guys from the SCCA. I can't really call them young kids anymore, even though I think some of them are technically younger than me. But we got a lot of drivers who you see a lot of in some real life racing making their appearance here in the Weekend Warriors. And always nice to see that crossover between real life and in-sim participation. But Josh, and things up and rolling from this qualifying session, we may start to have some time set on the board.
Yeah, it looks like they're out there kind of just piloting around right now, maybe warming some tires up, kind of getting acclimated a little bit. But this is going to be one of those ones where you're definitely fighting the track here. There's a lot of time to be made, especially through this section we see Andrew Love going through here. You just have to nail it just right. You got to get that line just right so that you can get out of this section with some speed. And then, of course, the last corner that he's heading into here as well. Very, very important to get a good pull out of it. And it's going to be really important, I bet, around the last lap as well, when I'm sure we're going to be coming in here with 4 or 5 cars deep. And they're going to be looking for a draft down this front straight here. And we'll see if maybe Andrew Love can't put in maybe our first time here. It looks like first lap, obviously, probably not going to be the fastest one. The cars get a little bit lighter, get a little bit warmer by the end of the qualifying session here. But I have a feeling we're going to be putting in some pretty fast times here. And it's going to be real close up near the front run.
It is going to be vacuum sealed together at the front of this field, and we've seen that play out many times thus far in this season. Just looking through the calendar that we've had, it has been a brilliant season here for Season 1 of 2025 for the Formula V Weekend Warriors. Brands Hatch, Lime Rock, New Hampshire, Okayama, Thruxton, Donington Park, Sebring, Lebanon, and Alton Park. The 9 races that we've had thus far this season. New Hampshire and Alton Park playing host to the first ever rain races here in the history of the Formula V Weekend Warriors. And fingers crossed, come time for Season 2 of 2025, we'll have some more rain-related shenanigans for these drivers. And I missed out on an opportunity today. I'm going to be completely honest. I should have said earlier on that Iracing needs to add some rain support for the Spec Racer Ford. Josh, I think you may not get down with this idea based off the fact you're a Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors driver, and those races are usually enough of a shiitake mushroom show as is, that throwing rain into the picture would be, I'm not sure the best way I could describe it. It's like throwing 100 pounds of C4 into a nuclear reactor. That would be a rather odd thing to have happen. But the main reason I bring this up is I want to see a multi-class race at some point for the Week 13 V runoffs here in the Weekend Warriors, with the Formula Vs, the Formula Fords, and the Spec Racer Fords all running on track at the same time in the rain at the Slinger Figure 8. I've been on the air for too long. I'm delirious.
Yeah, we haven't done anything quite that silly yet at one of these, have we? We've done some kind of silly things at the Week 13, but we really haven't kind of just done something wacky like that quite yet. I'm all for it, to be honest. I think it could be pretty fun, or maybe even something with some jumps on it or something like that. Or I've always really liked the hill climb, but I'm not really sure how the logistics of that would work out for a broadcast. But something funny like that would be great. I'm definitely down as well for rain in the SRS. I really don't know how well that's going to go, considering most of those races you're couple feet off the person behind you for like 40 minutes the whole time, and in the rain it's just going to be nuts. The cars are so short wheel-based. Not really sure how that's going to go. That being said, they do have rain tires, I believe, so it could be pretty interesting, Ron.
Yeah, that would be really cool to see a Spec Racer Ford car in the rain. I feel like I would get a kick out of that combination there as well. But we're in this qualifying session right now. Before I start going off on any more rambling menageries, which may make people wonder if I should have a wellness check done on me, let's take a look at how things are going at the present moment. Giancarlo Schuler in the number 21 car is your current provisional pole sitter, saying a 125.920 in the process. Finds himself a tick under 0.02 of a second in front of your current championship leader of Tortolo. Jameson Huffman running at your top 3, I believe, unless I'm very much mistaken. Gotta take a look to see Jameson Huffman. Technically speaking, he is a Spec 2 driver based off his I rating, but certainly showing Spec 1 speed with a Spec 1 number in that number 89 car. That's a lot of uses of the word number in the span of just a couple of seconds. But Huffman is a driver that I've got experience commentating on in the old Tuesday night Ray Esports series, and for pretty much all those broadcasts. Josh, you were the producer whenever I was on the air for it, so you can attest to the very quick driver that Jameson Huffman is. A real-life Formula Enterprise driver in the SCCA, really can wheel a car on iRacing.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe, if I'm not mistaken there, we've seen him in a few different series and stuff too, and he's always driving well. So, yeah, we've got a bunch of kind of, honestly, sort of jewels of the series here in this race that seem to be kind of showing up for FVs off and on and stuff as well, that have been, they've raced SRF, they've raced FF. Some of them have been with us through our, as we were just mentioning there, some of our special events. The RESCR stuff that we do with the Ray Esports Club Racing. A few of these guys have done various races with us there as well. So pretty awesome field today, to be honest, Ron. We have a pretty big field. I believe we're about almost 40 cars deep here, and a bunch of drivers that have been following us through all kinds of the Ray Esports series here with us at Slow Motion Broadcasting. So pretty cool.
Yeah, it is really cool what we're seeing at the present moment. I thought I'd escape this moving off of the iRacing Esports Network broadcast of the 2025 Bathurst 12-hour. Is Max Verstappen in this race? He is not. However, we do have another fast driver by the name of Morgan Burkhardt here at the moment. I was just going to mention the fact he jumped up to 4th in this qualifying session a couple of minutes ago. And he was another driver who we saw in the Ray Esports Club Series, was running the race at Homestead, Miami for, I think, one of the first or second races of that Group 3 season of that series that he can catch every single Wednesday here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. But didn't have a good run in the Formula Vs, got struck by a falling anvil, which leads me fittingly into talking about Michelle Lynn. So she's making this broadcast possible today, and right from the offset, we would like to thank Michelle for making this broadcast possible. One of the series admins here from the Formula V Weekend Warriors, your current Spec 2 Championship leader. Very nice person, a fellow Philadelphian as well, and based off her interview from Sebring a couple of rounds ago, when it was a rather colorful interview that we had from her after her Spec 2 win, clearly does not give a shift, much like most Philadelphians, and has a good sense of humor as well. If you see in the top right corner, I had to do the small little thing where I stick my index finger and my thumb out to try and make sure which one was the right and which one was the left. If you take a look in the top left corner throughout this broadcast, you will see a falling anvil graphic. And from the offset, I would like to say that I have started something absolutely terrible. And to the Weekend Warriors world, I give my serious and most heartfelt apology. The fact that some of the stuff that comes out of my mouth, the rambling derisions I have on these broadcasts, has become a part of people's actual vernaculars. With great power comes great tomfoolery.
Yeah, that's a good sign, Ron. It means things are catching on. It's happening organically, and we do have a falling anvil logo that should pop up here any minute. Not the usual one, unfortunately, because I couldn't find it. Maybe not the best falling anvil logo we have used or seen. We will source out a bit of a better one there, but always have to be thanking Michelle Lynn and all of our sponsors here that help these go on, because we wouldn't be able to do it without them. And it does, it does take a lot of work in the background here from Stevie and myself and Ron and everybody who's involved, Jim Brewster, everybody who's involved here in the background. And man, oh man, it takes a lot of work to get stuff going. So we really appreciate the sponsors, really appreciate people like Michelle in there who are helping these leagues out and these series out to make them happen. It's you guys that make it happen, and we can't. We appreciate it so much.
And another man that we will mention who joined us in the commentary booth 1 week ago, Mr. Adam Thompson, the former owner here at Slow Motion Broadcasting. He's always going to be part of the crew here, and I believe, yes, unless I'm very much mistaken, last time I heard his wife Sarah is probably about a month away from the birth of their first child. So just well before any of that ever happens, we would like to wish the Thompsons the best with that, and hopefully everything goes well with the baby girl that they're going to be bringing into the world in the not too far off future. But switching from a wholesome note to the exciting note of this qualifying session, which is still going on, we'll note that your current provisional pole sitter It's Huffman, but it's not Jameson. It's Justin Huffman. His father currently on the provisional pole in the 123 car. He's slotted on the front row alongside Giancarlo Schuler. Tortolo slotted in third. I'm trying to look back to see where Jason Green is at the present moment. Looking through, where is Jason? Jason is in 18th. Jason, we can say this since he was in the commentary booth with us 1 week ago. Jason, you want to come back into the booth with us? That's not ideal for the driver of the 160 car. Sorry, that's mean. Jason's a great guy.
Yeah, I wonder what is going on there, though. That's right. He's a little bit out of character there. I would imagine he just got in the session here now after he probably just got out of the car at Bathurst or something, just made it in here or decided, hey, you know what? I'm going to do the V-Race too. And it looks like he is trying to just kind of tear off a couple laps here and see if he can't make it up front, which I imagine he probably will. But as we were saying before there, we got Huffman up front, Schooler, and then Tolo. So definitely a bit of a shakeup at the front here. Ladar always there as well. And then Burkhardt in 5th place. And then the Huffman Jr., I believe, just in 6th place, just behind Burkhardt. So we have a star-studded front row here from, I would say, from 1st right down, even to 8th place here. We have a bit of a star-studded front row. This is going to be a pretty gnarly race today, I think, Ron.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one for these drivers. It's going to be an exciting one for us in the commentary booth. And to all of you tuning into this broadcast here on Slow Motion Broadcasting, it's going to be, oh boy, worst time to get hiccups or indigestion. I'm not sure what in the world happened there. I think my vocal cord just decided to go on strike there for a couple of moments. But no, it's going to be a really good day of racing action to all of you tuning into this broadcast on Slow Motion Broadcasting. A lot of you probably have already, but if you haven't hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and also the like button on this stream, you should probably get that squared away right now, because this is going to be a good one here at Summit Point. This old school American road course, it is West Virginia's finest. I nearly went down here for a race in my karting days. Did not actually do that. However, still an absolutely wonderful ride in the world of racing. It's a short course, though, possibly the shortest that we'll be visiting all throughout this season here for the Formula V Weekend Warriors. But just because it's short doesn't mean we're not going to have a heck of a lot of fun in the process.
There we go.
My tongue wrapped around my teeth about 15 times there, Josh. I'll let you call the end of this qualifying session.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's something that's always sort of interested me about Summit Point is that it always sort of struck me and feels like a European racetrack. And then when I hear it's not, every time I hear it's not, I'm reminded that, oh yeah, it's not. It feels to me like something that would be in Europe, but it's not. And it's I think that's pretty unique for a track like this. There's obviously a lot of, some of North America's tracks are my favorites. I love Canadian Motorsports Park, Mosport as we used to call it. I love Road America. I love Road Atlanta. All really good, hustly kind of old school sports car tracks. And this one might just be a little bit below that, but man, there's good racing around here. And it just always kind of strikes me that it's not European. It just feels European. Am I on to something there, Ron, or am I just totally out to lunch?
Honestly, it sounds about right. It has that feeling that a track like Thruxton that we visited earlier on in the season has. It just it sounds mean to call this track a ramshackle affair, but it doesn't feel like a professional executed with a ruler and a compass or whatever the heck I'm trying to say. It doesn't have that feeling to it. This track originally built back in the 1960s, back in 1969 when it opened. The current layout that we're running today has been around since 1970, has been just about unaltered ever since. It's a wonderful track in the world of racing, and we're expecting a good race here today. Let's take a look at the starting grid. I think we got a short and pace lap. We may have to burn through this. Justin Huffman going to be starting from the pole. Giancarlo Schuler going to join him on the front row. Tortolo going to be starting in third next to Parvin Ladar in fourth. Morgan Burkhardt in the number 2 car will start this race in 5th. James and Huffman going to join him on the 3rd row. Nate Coliseo in 7th. Guido Marzuki in P8. James Matthew Sheldon in 9th. Andrew Love going to round at your top 10. Jesus Rodriguez will find himself in P11. Richie Cohan will start this race in 12th. Starting in 13th is going to be Jason Green. Starting in 14th is going to be Stevie Ray. Ethan Orr in 15th. Caden Lasky in 16th. Alan DeGassis in P17. Russell Telker in P18. Jim Bruce Brewster will start 19th next to Kurt Nunez. Rounding out your top 20, Suleiman Khan in 21st, Antonio Reese in 22nd, Michelle Lynn in 23rd, Chris Montgomery in 24th, Breathe In, Trip Isley in 25th, Halbrelio Garcia in 26th, and Szynski in 27th, Nick Tullo in 28th, Scott Brailer in 29th, Michael Lattarulo in 30th, Andrew Brailer in 31st, Jason Greider in 32nd, Murphy Nichols in 33rd, Brian Hansen in 34th, holy cow, Travis Frail in 35th, Gary Kittle starting this race in P36. Rounding out your grid, we got through it. I don't know how I did that.
Sir.
I could try that a million times, and I don't think I'd be able to do it. But ready to get things up and rolling for the 10th race of this season. We're about to get the final trio of races underway, and we've got a good one to kick off that final trio.
Holy crap,
the drivers are on their way, heading their way down that start finish straightaway. 4-1 already. Are you kidding me? These drivers are already risking it for the biscuit early on, but side by side at the front of the field, heading their way down into turn number 1. It's going to be Justin Huffman trying to withstand the challenge from Giancarlo Schooler side by side with Jameson Huffman and Tortolo right behind. Morgan Burkhardt finding himself in a Hornets as Jesus Rodriguez, the 2024 Season 3 champion, getting involved in that battle as well, riding on board with Burkhardt in the number 2 car. Let's see how he negotiates this first lap. He's already down 5 spots, getting shuffled out and hung out to try and contact being made with himself and Andrew Love heading down into turn number 3.
Wow, what a shot there for sure. He just held on to that one, Ron, for sure. It is absolute mayhem out there right now, but pretty darn clean so far. We're looking pretty good here. We got a really good group of drivers today, and you can tell if this was an official race, we would have 20 cars out by now, and we haven't even had one out yet. I can barely even talk here. There's so much going on the track at the same time, and we're looking pretty good here through this section as well. We got a bunch of 2 wide, not quite 3 wide yet. Everybody's playing pretty safe. I saw a couple back there, pretty big pack of cars right here, and we're looking super clean, Ron. We're racing here. This looks good.
Yeah, it's looking tight, it's looking technical, and it's looking exciting at the very start of this race. We got massive packs forming all throughout the field, but completing this first lap in the lead is going to be your P2 starter of Giancarlo Schooler. He's holding on to the lead for this moment. Justin Huffman trying to get that move done on Schooler, heading down that start finish straight away. Schooler looking to get schooled by Huffman. That was terrible. I apologize. Heading down into turn number 1. Tortolo also getting a move done to slip his way up into P2. Drivers going side by side all throughout the field. Look at that Hornets that's forming, involving James Matthew Sheldon in 9th. The driver of the 108 car, currently the Pied Piper of this pack. You got Richie Cohan, Stevie Ray, Antonio Reese, Jesus Rodriguez, second tries to chart, completely different name there. Jason Green, Ethan Orr, Alan DeGath. Lots of drivers in this race. 36 cars to be a bit more precise. I'm not sure how I managed to get through all of them before the drop of the green flag. I may need to go and buy a lottery ticket at the end of all of this. Murphy Nichols is your hard charger as it stands at the present moment. Still early doors in this race, but he's up 12, make that 13 spots.
Oh, we've had a crash up front there. Looks like Stevie Ray off.
Big crash.
Looks like Stevie Ray was off there.
Turn 5.
Yeah, hard spot there for sure. So that's kind of coming down the hill, that really high speed section, and I'm imagining there that, you know, it's so tempting sometimes to try to throw a pass up the outside or the inside there, and it's almost always not a good idea. And I'm willing to bet that's what happened down there. Somebody got it too wide, coming through the kink, and got it wrong on the brakes. As looks like we got nope. Looks like he's clean back there. So that was our first kind of incident of the race here, as we're seeing Tortolo and Justin Huffman, Giancarlo Schooler, Nate Colascio, all sort of battling for the same position here. This is going to be a wild one, Ron, as a producer here and trying to talk at the same time with this many cars out there. Not an easy job.
Oh, yeah, I feel bad for you. As much as I'm talking in tongues, you're having to act like a chameleon, looking about 16 different things at once. Focus on the cameras, focus on the stuff going on, try and talk at the same time. If you want to, I could just bleed everyone's ear off as we try and settle into a groove in this race. Giancarlo Schooler dropping back down to P2. Tortolo getting a move done on him. Jameson Huffman in the number 89 car, currently running at the podium as it stands at the present moment. He's got his dad, Justin Huffman, right behind. Nate Colascio involved in this as well. Guido Marzuki, Kohan. Oh boy, there we go. Side by side racing, heading down into turn number 5. Giancarlo Schooler getting that move done to slip his way up into the race lead. I think there was a driver dropping down like a rock. It may have been Halbrelio I believe his first name is Harbrellia. His last name is blanking out of my head at this point in time. There's so much static going on there that any sort of coherent thoughts usually get hung out to dry. And speaking of getting hung out to dry, we got 5 cars heading down into turn number 10. 2 on the outside, 3 on the inside. Make that 3 on the outside and 2 on the inside, playing me like a fiddle. Here we go, 3 wide action at the front of the field, as you do in these Formula V Weekend Warriors races. Justin Huffman, and Giancarlo Schuler giving us a good battle to talk about the front of the field. Justin Huffman trying to give a little bit of a bump drift to his son of Jameson. Here we go. This, I don't have a good feeling about this, if I'm being completely honest, but they get through clean.
Looking more like a formation flying team going into T1 there for sure. They're doing some sort of diamond formation as they go into T1. Pretty impressive stuff around here. We look more like Blue Angels or something than race cars going into T1 there. Pretty impressive from the front group of drivers here, as we're just packs of driving all over the place, Ron. Not exactly sure where to look. There's so much action, so I guess that means we just can't miss it. You can pick anywhere and we're good.
I think there was a moment involving Morgan Burkhardt in the number 22, number 2 car. There we go. Christ, I sold my first car to him. You think I'd know better than calling him 22? Contact being made, hang down into turn number 5. A big crash. Antonio Reese
like
getting a piece of that. Himself and Russ Telker merged together. They're hopping up and down, not enjoyed by some sort of weird Formula V. I was gonna say a mating ritual there. I know what. And
yeah, that's for a different channel. Yeah, that might be a little bit of Discovery Channel stuff going on there with those Vs, unfortunately. It looks like he did get himself unlodged from the car there. He's able to keep going, but yeah, some of that iRacing stickiness every once in a while, it is something as sim racers we have to deal with, is a little bit of strange physics every once in a while and some strange stuff as we are cutting shapes out there. It's starting to look a little frenetic at the front, Ron. We have some kind of froggy drivers here behind the two leaders. Not a good thing. We want to see kind of calm right now. As if you're up front, that's what you need to be doing. You need to kind of just be calming down right now. There's a long race to go, lots of corners to have, and man, if you keep trying to go 2-3 wide every corner, I mean, we know how that works out, Ron. It's never going to work out for another 25 minutes.
These drivers looking to settle this race into some sort of groove. These frogs are all on the same lily pad, and we're just waiting to see which is going to be the first one to rib it. Oh,
nicely done, sir.
Oh, no.
Well done.
We got
well
Huffman 1-2. Well done. Definitely subjective in that case. We got Huffman 1-2, but we've got a pack of holy cow. 11 cars at the front of the field, covered by practically nothing.
That's beautiful.
The gap between Sheldon and Kohan has diminished. James Sheldon in that number 108 car, currently running in P8, showed some really good pace at Alton Park 1 week ago, and he finds himself involved in this pack for the lead. I don't have a good feeling about this, though, as running wide coming out the final corner is your race leader of Justin Huffman. James Huffman, on the other hand, in the 89 car, certainly within striking distance as well. Those two side by side. He can make that 3 wide as Nate Coliseo in the Chiquita Banana car looking to slip his way past on the inside line. Heading down into turn number 1, looks like he's going to get the move done in the number 8 car. The driver who won earlier on this season at Lime Rock finds himself in the lead at another old school American track.
Yeah, this is just wild here up at the front, and it looks like we're actually catching some lap traffic here, which is going to make things real difficult for that lap traffic guy. I always picture it just like a bunch of big dogs coming, and the tiny little dog up there, and he's just like, oh no, they're coming. And that's kind of what it feels like when you're one of those drivers. You want to just kind of delete yourself, and you can't a lot of the time. And man, it just causes some bad stuff. You know, even once in a while, you get somebody up front there, a lap traffic they're just trying to do their best, you know, and get out of the way, and it just doesn't work out. So we'll see how this happens here, because man, oh man, we have a pack of cars chasing that car down right now.
Yeah, it is just a giant hornet's nest that we got forming at the front of this field. As it stands currently, all the drivers inside the top 10, not just some of them, all of them, are separated by 1.7 seconds. Only in the Formula V Weekend Warriors Warriors, man. Only in the Formula
amazing
Vs
stuff.
as we see this snake of cars going on to that start-finish straightaway. Let's take a look at Giancarlo Schooler. Maybe got to try and get a move done. Here we go. 3 wide.
Oh,
nope, make that
don't
4
do
wide.
it.
These drivers risking it for the biscuit. Don't. Yeah, my thoughts exactly. Don't do it. You still got a while left to go in this race. Don't risk it for the biscuit or risk it for the Triscuit if you're feeling the low-calorie option. So early on in this race, we haven't even hit the 10-minute mark, and we've already seen drivers go 4 wide and nearly send each other off into low Earth orbit, as I think James Matthew Sheldon or someone just got sucked up into a UFO, hit 88 miles an hour coming out of turn number 2, and now find themselves back in the Neolithic period.
So we're going to try to catch up on a couple replays here. I believe this is the incident going down the hill that we missed there. We saw some cars off. Stevie Ray was involved. Let's see if we can't. So through the kink, we're clean. We're clean through the kink. And it looks like maybe just a loss of grip there, perhaps, or maybe the touch of the inside.
Oh!
Unfortunately, it ended up just absolutely hawking another car off. I'm not sure who that was, Ron. Did you catch who that was? Who just got flung off the road there?
I'm not sure who that was. They got flung like a booger. At first, I thought it was Marzuki. I think it may have possibly been Jesus Rodriguez. Yeah, that or Lasky. I know Lasky has some cars that look like that in the
Let's have a peek here.
I'm getting this all confused now. And let's see. Okay, now that was Rodriguez.
Yeah, you're right.
He got jumped up into low Earth orbit. Look at Jason Green getting involved in all that as well. Oh boy, here we go. We got. Oh my God, that's 3x2 heading down that start-finish straightaway into turn number 1.
Wow.
These drivers absolutely love to spike my blood pressure.
Yeah, absolutely crazy up front here, Ron, for sure. That was wild. We're looking at literally a wall of cars going into T1, and they're able to sort it out here. We got a lot of really good drivers up front here that are just kind of jockeying for position and really giving each other the room that they need to make passes happen, and that's kind of what you need up front. You have to have a good passing partner as well. You can't just pass people willy-nilly. A person kind of has to let you by sometimes in these situations as well. You have to think better of it, basically, and let your opponent by so that you can live to fight another day. And the last thing you want to see, Ron, in a pack like this is a purple car blinking in and out in front of you. Not a good thing to see when you have 4 cars wide and you're trying to be millimeter close and there's a car blinking in front of you. That is the worst. Honestly, sometimes when that happens, you sort of just go, okay, well, whatever's going to happen happens now.
I am so happy the fact that my mic was muted as James Matthew Sheldon popped back into existence heading through the tight twisty section, because the noise that escaped my gullet when that happened was disturbing. Even more disturbing than some of the stuff I say on the air as is. Looking at these drivers, though, not letting up with this race. Holy cat. They got the lap traffic of Russ Delker to deal with in the not too far off future. They're 3 wide, though, heading into turn number 1. Will these drivers give each other a rest? I'll bet $500 Monopoly currency that they're still going to be battling up until someone ends up striking the moon. I will mention, though, as we see this pack of cars heading down into turn number 3, I've been covering this series now ever since it started here at Slow Motion Broadcasting back in the summer of 2024. The novelty's never going to wear off of seeing this massive hornet's nest of race cars careening their way down into turn number 5. But I want to raise a quick point, as we still got, it's now I could say the top 14 cars separated by 3.5 seconds. Jason Green running in 15th. He's not too crap out of luck as a result of all of this. There he is in the back of shot, heading his way through turn number 7 and 8 right now. If these drivers at the front of the field continue on this battling and blow apart, like I kind of expect them to do, if I'm being completely honest, great drivers, there's only so many times that you can hammer a nail into a pack of plastic explosives before something goes off. So I wouldn't rule out Jason Green ending up coming out of this race smelling like a bed of roses.
Oh, and there we see that's how, unfortunately, Michelle Lynn ended up off the road there and lost a few positions, just a little bit too, made some contact there. Not exactly sure whose fault that was, but unfortunately knocked her back a little bit. So today's sponsor, unfortunately, kind of got knocked back a little bit, but hopefully she can make up some places. But you're 100% right about Jason Green here. We know that when he wants to, he can really put his head down and start focusing and be super clean, and that's kind of what's needed here. That pack up front there, I don't even think he's too worried about catching them quite yet. He has about 15 or just a little over 15 minutes to catch them, and that's not going to be an issue for him at all if he plays his cards right here. It's really the hardest part's going to just be getting by all of those cars, and that's going to be a bit of a difficult task for Jason here. But I think you're right, Ron. I think he's definitely got a chance to get up front here.
Oh, and here we go, side by side yet again. Ethan Orr running that Christmas livery still. Reminds me of last year when I had my Christmas tree up all the way throughout the entirety of 2024. I'm not touching that one after that. Ethan Orr, though, running 6th at the present moment. This is a battle for P2 in the Spec 2 category with himself and James Matthew Sheldon is at the front of the field. We got 2x2 nonsense, 3 wide nonsense. Heading into turn number 10. Look at that. Jameson Huffman involved in all that drama. Giancarlo Schooler making a 3 wide, heading off into the corner. And now here we go. I'm waiting for someone to get pinged off into low earth orbit. I'm being completely honest. We've seen 3, 4. I'm surprised we haven't seen some 5 wide action thus far in this race. I can't even rule that out. That's the worst part. Running on board with Tolo in the number 1 car. Currently running in 5th. Yeah, you can see the leader's going 3 wide, and he's running in 5th. Never mind, he's now running up into 4th as running wide through turn number 1 is Nate Coliseo. That's a side-by-side fight between the two of them, heading their way down into turn number 3. As we see James Matthew Sheldon continuing to blink in and out of existence. That 88-mile-an-hour barrier clearly being scraped by Sheldon. Going back from the Neolithic period, driving into the foot of a dinosaur, and then blinking back now into Iracing and driving his way off into turn 5.
I like the inner monologue there, the little story that goes along with that. That's pretty funny. Yeah, he's just all of a sudden seeing the future or the past, and then he's back in the race again for a moment there. That's got to be a little bit jarring for him, and probably why he's sliding backwards through the field here fairly rapidly at the moment. Really, really difficult to race around somebody who's blinking in and out of the future and the past, Ron, and not something any driver wants to see, but unfortunately something we have to deal with in sim racing. I guess you just chalk that up to a mechanical error and kind of drive around it is what you try to do, because it's really all you can do, especially in a pack like this. Last thing you want to see.
Yeah, the last thing you want to see in a pack, outside of a meteorite coming down and striking these drivers, which I don't think would be received with a lot of acclaim either, is a car blinking wildly in and out of existence, back to the Neolithic period, back to present day. He may end up in 2050 by the time this broadcast is said and done, looking at these drivers, and we can now say that Jason Green is involved in all of that. I swear, if the pack that we're seeing right now involving John Toms, Chris Montgomery, and contact me.
Little spin.
Boy,
it's a monster
ramping
trucking
over. That's Suleiman Khan.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. Sort of, T1's that spot where this just seems to happen for some reason. It's a very inviting spot to try to go up the inside, and it looks like there just wasn't enough room left there. And wheel-to-wheel contact, and then some kind of collecting some other drivers there as well. So unfortunate into T1 that just happened to catch that one too. I finally kind of got back to that pack, and unfortunately we saw them crash, and it looks like they were probably going to catch up to this pack, which would have made it even crazier on. And I'm not really sure what this other pack is doing out here. It looks like we've kind of got John Tom sort of floating out by himself, and then right after that we have Travis Rail with sort of a pack of cars behind him as well that I don't think is going to be able to catch up to the front pack here. But the way these guys are driving up front, who knows, Ron? We're back side by side again here.
Nope. Oh boy, I'm not touching that one. Anyways, 3 wide action at the front of the field. Not the first time we've seen it. Certainly won't be the last. Huffman, Tolo, Schooler giving us a good battle to talk about yet again. Ethan Orr getting involved in the midst of that as well in the 222 car.
Oh boy.
Look at that, the dive from Ethan Orr heading down into turn number 1. Oh, I think we may have seen someone up. I think Richie Cohan. He's blinking wildly in and out of existence. I think Justin Huffman just had a wild ride through the runoff area down into turn number 1 and 2. I think we may have just seen a brief alien abduction in real time from Cohan in the number 12 car. Not ideal for him at all. Smoke coming up in the air as Ethan Orr, the Spec 2 man who won this race won a Formula V Weekend Warriors race earlier on this season overall as a Spec 2 driver at Thruxton, finds himself running P2 in a race where we've got a Spec 2 1-2. Lots of twos there, one of which being the 222 car.
Holy crap, hey, look at that. We do have a couple Spec 2 guys right out front here, and to be honest, in a race like this is when it's probably most possible. If I was out there as a Spec 2 driver and I was anywhere in this pack, of the top 10 or 12 or 13 drivers, I'd be like, you know what, I could probably win this race today. All you got to do is stay clean. You need to stay with this pack, and basically anything can happen, as we're seeing here. We've probably changed lead, what? I mean, we're probably changing lead 3 or 4 times a lap sometimes here. So it's all to have out there for sure. You see Ethan Orr kind of looking up the middle here. We've got another just 3-4 wide group of Vs every lap into T1 here, and pretty impressed that they're able to make it through here clean every lap so far.
Yeah, pretty impressed that no one has just been killed to death as a result of all this. Right? Oh, there's James Matthew Sheldon blinking in and out of existence again. I think I joked about it in the interview with him 1 week ago at Alton Park. The hamster running on the wheel that makes up his Wi-Fi router may need to be replaced because that thing is certainly running out of gas. Side by side racing with himself and Kohan hanging into turn number 3. The pack is broken up a little bit. It's now only the top 7 covered by about a second. Only the top 7 covered by about a second.
Yeah, pretty wild. It's honestly almost impossible to keep up with the action out there here today. We are changing position side by side almost every corner. I feel like I definitely need 2 sets of hands and 2 sets of eyeballs here to catch everything for sure, or a second computer with a bunch of replays I can roll back. I can simply not get to replays because there's just so much going on out there, and I will try to get to some replays here if I can. But honestly, for the amount of cars out there today, Ron, it's been very clean. We got a really good group of drivers here.
A very talented group of racers, keeping it clean but keeping it exciting as well. This has been a really good race. I gotta say one thing as well, Josh, not having 2 sets of arms and 4 sets of eyeballs, man, you clearly didn't grow up by a nuclear plant. Looking at this pack of cars heading down that start finish straightaway off into turn number 1. Every single time I see this, I don't have a good feeling about it, but these drivers have proved me wrong lap after lap thus far in this race. We're down in the final 10 minutes, so things are certainly going to be ramping up as if they haven't already been heart-pumpingly exciting throughout this race thus far. Holy cow, look at this. It looks like a formation lap heading down into turn number 3, side by side with Schooler and Tolo, side by side with Huffman and Kohan, side by side with Orr, side by side with a bunch of dust particulates that got kicked up into the air coming out of turn number 3. I don't even know what to say at this point in the race other than well done to these drivers, giving us a brilliant race to talk about. Hey, I'm going to try and push for this. This should be the Encore broadcast this week here on SMB because holy cow, this race has been terrific. I think we just had 2 blinking out of existence there. That I think was Marzuki, Sheldon, and Jim Brewster. So Spec 2 driver, a Spec 1 driver, and a Master driver all blinking in out of existence there basically at the same time. Clearly, regardless of what kind of class these drivers are running in, the pace remains and the aerodynamic issues remain as well. And looking at this battle going on at the front of the field, side by side with Huffman and Tolo, side by side with Schooler and Kohan. These drivers have not given a rest at all throughout this race.
Up the middle.
Schooler threading the needle 3 wide.
Nice.
Holy cow.
And he does it. Well done. You love to see a move like that, especially when you catch it on camera. It looks like he got it done, Ron. He's going to get up through the center, right up into the front, but we know this is going to be short-lived here. We have so many cars behind him here jockeying for position. Still just getting puffs of smoke in the face, not caring a bit about it as we go through one of the harder sections of the course here. Let's see if they can keep it clean. Everybody keeping it pretty tidy through there too. You want to touch the dirt every once in a while just to kind of optimize that corner. But it looks like Schooler's definitely got some pace here today, Ron, and it's going to be really difficult down to the end of the race as to who the heck is going to end up taking this one. It could basically be anyone at this point.
Now, I just saw something that Mr. Ray Esports himself, Mr. CV Ray, said in the iRacing text chat in the session. For that qualifying session, the top 35 cars were within a second of each other. Huh?
Wow.
I genuinely, a race like this, I think if you put these drivers on an oval, it wouldn't be this close.
Yeah, I think you're probably right, Ron. It would be, you're right. Yeah, you're probably right. This is just, this track for some reason always spawns really good racing. And like I said on the run-up, this track is perfect for a car like this. And we're seeing why right here. It's working out really well. You've got just a perfect mix of sort of a technical section with a big, long drag race down the front here. As we're seeing, we're going all, We could go 5 wide every lap if we wanted to. The only thing keeping these drivers from not going 5 and 6 wide is their own restraint. That's it.
Oh, hello. We nearly just saw a collision with Huffman and Tullo coming out of turn number 2. You know, it was bad when I sounded like a tornado siren a couple of moments ago. But that's some close quarter stuff. It's close quarter stuff all throughout this field. And contact
he holds on to it.
That's Huffman and Kohan coming out of turn number 3. Someone did the bunny hop, but they're still out there on the racetrack. I'm not sure what these cars are made of. They're either made out of rubber or they're made out of tungsten, because they can either bounce off each other or they're damn near indestructible. Actually, no, they're made out of a frozen pizza that someone purchased in New York. God, I really need some food in my system. Looking at these drivers side by side through the tight twisties into 7 and 8 right now. Jameson Huffman getting that move done to slip his way up into P2. Should be noted as well, we haven't really talked about this. Alan Degassis is your current leader in the Masters category. I don't think we've mentioned really any of the Masters racers ever since the drop of the green flag. Feel bad, the Masters class, usually exciting to talk about. I mean, Jesus Christ, look at what we've got on screen right now. You can't really blame us for not talking about that. There's also some skin in the game with this battle as well, on account of the fact that you've got the top 4 in the Spec 2 category all involved in this. You got Jameson Huffman running in P2. You got Ethan Orr in 5th. James Matthew Sheldon in 6th. Actually, correction, James Matthew Sheldon and his Wi-Fi hamster in 6th. And Andrew Love currently riding at the top 8, dropping down to 9th. Right as I say that, playing me like a fiddle. Side by side with Marzuki and Sheldon. Nearly ends in tears. The amount of odd sound effects that have come out of my mouth on this broadcast, I think you can probably make a song out of them.
Now you can see Guido here being very clean driver there. He saw that coming long before it happened and started to get out of the way, and it lost him a bit of time. But as we see, that looked like, I believe that was Grider. Who was that off there?
Schooler.
That was Schooler,
Giancarlo
Schooler, just getting pushed to the side there, as well as Sheldon kind of getting pushed off the road a little bit there. And you know, that's actually something, you know, it's a skill that you sort of need, is to be able to look off the road and be able to come back on the road in these situations. Sometimes the best option actually is to take a bit of grass and come back on, especially in iRacing, because you're not going to get you just get a 1X for it. So every once in a while, you know, I've told my friends and stuff here too, you know, in a race, if you can avoid somebody by going in the grass, just do it. Just go in the grass and drive in the grass and come back on the track. Even if you take a bit of a slowdown for it, it's much better than going wheel to wheel and flipping over, I think. So I think that's what we saw there from Schooler and possibly from Sheldon as well, just to kind of get out of the problem. But back to Guido here, very, very clean driver, as we saw him kind of responding to Sheldon in front, losing a bit of time, but it's not really going to matter that much because of this draft. He's already back up, so it's always a good move, you know, to just kind of play it safe out there, especially now.
I think these drivers' definition of playing it safe is going side by side through all but one corner around the racetrack. Look at that, James Matthew Sheldon really deep into the braking zone at turn number 1. Thought we were going to see a round of bowling. We did not, heading through there. And speaking of heading through, we've been heading through this race very quick. Man, time flies when you're having fun. Fun mixed with my blood pressure being spiked up, seeing these drivers go 3, 4, and sometimes 5 wide. I don't really think they feel... I don't. Hey, boy, that was.
Hello. Hopefully the red shell here not foreshadowing what he is about to do to Giancarlo. No problem at all. I'm getting better at this, Ron. I can see when these things are happening. Try to fill in a little bit for you, but that red shell there, hopefully not foreshadowing exactly what is going to go on here with Giancarlo Schooler. If I was seeing that behind me and it was getting that close to me and it was a red shell, oh man, I'm getting some flashbacks to Mario Kart when I was 13.
Yeah, I honestly, the only thing that could make this race more hectic is if we had Mario Kart rules. I think one driver decided, nope, I've had enough of this, that, or he just didn't fill up his car with gas, is Richie Cohen. So congratulations to him for picking up the Thompson Trophy at the end of this race. That he picked up a penalty.
Looks like a penalty, Ron. Yeah, looks like a drive-through. Yeah, unfortunately, too many off tracks. Maybe a bump or two there, a wheel contact or two, and he's had to pull in. So that's going to kind of take him out of this fight. Not enough time to get back in it, I don't think, either.
Yeah, there's no time left to get involved in this battle, doubly so considering we have less than 2 minutes to go for round number 10 of the Formula V Weekend Warriors. What a race it has been. Action-packed, dramatic, exciting, heart-pumping. All the synonyms you can imagine to describe this race. Slap them on a poster, because this is some fun. We got 2 Spec 2 drivers running P1 and P2 with the 222 cars slotted in P2. He's about 0.2 of a second back, 0.22 seconds there. if he celebrates, I don't think he's going to be wearing a tutu. Oh, man, that was rough. Jim Brewster,
it's a bit of a reach.
Yeah. Oh, it was definitely. I've been reaching this whole time. Jim Brewster running in 6th as it stands at the present moment in the 933 car. The series admin looking to grab one. Not his first win this season. Actually kicked the season off with a checkered flag. The first time which we've had a Masters class here from the Formula V Weekend Warriors has been this season. Jim Brewster been very fast. He's a series admin for crying out loud, but York Monty has been the force to be reckoned with all throughout this season. As we take a look at some side-by-side racing involving Jason Green and James Matthew Sheldon, we'll note in terms of the two heavy hitters in the championship battle, Jason Green finds himself in 10th. Tortolo currently locked down in 4th. I say locked down, the white flag's in the air, one more lap of racing action. He could start this final lap in 4th, and he can end this final lap either in 1st or in 40th, which is really saying something because we only had 36 cars start this race. Looking now, this is going to be some close quarter stuff. Ethan Orr and Giancarlo Schooler heading into turn number 3, side by side with Tolo and Huffman as well. Look at that, Huffman dipping a wheel off into the dirt, the smoke screen effect that the drivers are trying to use. Look at this, here we go. Ethan Orr running in the lead. You got Huffman alongside, side by side, hanging into the braking zone of turn number 5 for the last time in this race. Giancarlo Schooler, Tortolo, Guido Marzucchi involved in all this as well. Marzucchi squeaked away with a P2 finish as his first ever Spec 2 win a couple of weeks ago at Thruxton. He may find himself in the capper and see if these drivers come to blows. Ethan or Justin Huffman side by side into turn number 9 for the last time in this race. Though the final corner, turn number 10, going to be important. That run up to the line feels like forever with a race here at Summit Point. Here we go.
Oh, Schooler trying to get in there.
Schooler trying to split the difference, go 3 wide.
Oh,
turn
shoulders.
Number 10, Ethan Orr running wide. That's going to take him out of it. More drivers running wide. 4 wide, coming right to the line. It's a photo finish, and who's going to win it? It's going to be Tortolo.
Tortolo gets it at the line. Oh my God, Ron, that was a really good one. I thought for sure. Wow, I can't. That Schooler tried to squeeze up the inside there, almost had it, and then I don't even know where everybody else finished. It's just basically a wall of cars. We're gonna have to sort it out afterwards here, but oh my goodness, Ron, that was a gnarly one. I'm not exactly sure where to look or when to look or what it is. We're missing people crossing the line back here. There's just so many drivers out there, and that was a wild last lap there. Well, almost Schooler almost made it up the middle, and if he would have made it up the middle there, that would have been a very, very different and very different finish.
Whew, holy cow, that is... I don't think I've ever screamed that loudly in my entire time doing broadcasting.
I'm just going to do the last lap here over again.
Yeah, we're going to take a look at the whole final lap of this race because holy cow. I think I called a shot at the end of that. I'm going to be completely honest. I think I may have called that. I said on that final lap, Tortolo, we were riding on board with him heading down into turn number 1. I was like, he can either end this race in 1st or 40th.
Sure did, yeah.
Legally didn't end in 40th. He ended up driving that number 1 car into victory lane. That's going to help him big time in the championship with only two more races left to go from the season. Jason Green ends up down in 10th. Oh my!
Yeah, let's get this whole lap and see on board here with Torn exactly how he got this done here, because you know it's interesting to kind of watch these because right here it could be anybody's game, you know, and he's thinking the same thing. It could be anybody's game here. So he's trying to play this game of chess. He looks outside first, not going to work. Sees kind of a bit of a schmozzle happening in front of him, and he knows he's got it. But at this stage, he knows he's got a really good chance here as long as he doesn't get blocked, and he doesn't. And it looks like he's just going to make that run to the line fairly easily, actually, Ron. So honestly, from Thor's perspective there, that wasn't all that hard. He just let people kind of frenetically race in front of him and then just went for the gap when it was there.
I'm not sure if we could take a look at another angle.
Oh my goodness.
There we go. We got the jump.
We are back just in time.
Yeah, but that worked out beautifully. That was absolutely glorious there.
It couldn't have been better.
Away from that action-packed finish, we just see this chaos at the end of it. What a way to bring this day of racing action to a conclusion. I gotta say one thing as well. Oh, that is absolutely.
There we are.
God bless America. That is awesome. Hey, up in the air, that's Marzucchi. Who's next? Who's gonna appear next? Actually, I will
Looks like
cut to
Jason
Josh's production
Green.
feed here because he's got a different camera angle than I do. There's Green up in the air. Let's see the usual jump maestro, Michelle Lynn, up in the air. I think Stevie Ray jumped it and ended up in the Shadow Realm at the end of it all. Oh, man, look at these cars bouncing once they hit the ground, too. I mentioned earlier on, I couldn't tell whether these cars were made out of tungsten or rubber. At the end, they're certainly made out of rubber because they bounce around like a rubber ball that you'd buy for 25 cents at a drugstore. Oh, okay, I'm going to break up the goofiness that we're seeing right now, which is very hard to do considering my absolutely bizarre and absurdist sense of humor. That finish was so close. Our live timing software crapped out. According to our live timing software, the top 4 at the end of this race are Tortullo, Jameson Huffman, Giancarlo Schuler, and Ethan Orr. Remember that order. According to Iracing, the top 4 is Tortullo, so he's your undisputed victor at the end of this race. Giancarlo Schuler is classed in P2, Ethan Orr in 3rd, and Jameson Huffman slotted in 4th. At the end of that race, according to iRacing at the very least, Ethan Orr and Jameson Huffman tied. They were 24 thousandths of a second behind Tortullo, and they were 1,000th of a second off of Giancarlo Schuler. You could tell based off how loud I was screaming at the end of that race, and this is something that I say rather lightly on account of the fact this is my 55th broadcast this year alone. That may have been the best iRacing event I have ever commentated on. There wasn't a field clearing accident. There wasn't a point in the race where the action started to settle down. That was drop the green flag, and then the end of the race.
Pretty much, yeah. Yep.
That's the only way I can describe it at the end of this. My vocal cord's not a fan of that description, but that's the best way we could sum it up at the end of this race, Josh.
That was an absolutely great race, Ron, for sure. You know, we always sit here and we're kind of, you know, we blame ourselves for the accidents that happen often. You know, we're like, things are clean, and then all of a sudden, it you know, there's a big crash, and it didn't happen today, and that's always good to see. You know, I think on the run-up, I was mentioning there that we just have sort of a star-studded lineup of drivers today, and well, they proved it, Ron. That was a fantastic race with a absolutely amazing finish, and yeah, man, these V's and this track and these drivers just putting it to us today, man. That was awesome. Let's see if we can get to some results here.
I gotta say, one thing that's going to remain with me throughout this broadcast is the story of the yellow light. On my mixing board, whenever I peak my microphone, I get a small little yellow light that appears at the end of it. So that happened a lot at the end of that race. I can assure you that much. But here's the result. Tortullo grabbing a really vital win for his chances of taking his second straight Formula V Weekend Warriors title. He wins it here at a dramatic race at Summit Point. Giancarlo Schuler going to be slotted in P2. Ethan Orr ends up winning in the Spec 2 category in the Triple 2 car. He's going to round out your overall podium in 3rd. Jameson Hoffman going to finish not even right behind. They tied. It was a tie for the Spec 2 win and for the final podium spot, but Jameson Hoffman going to be classed in 4th by iRacing. iRacing, of course, they do have a system in terms of breaking it up. They go down to a 4th decimal point. iRacing clearly giving Ethan Orr the edge over Hoffman there. Guido Marzucchi going to be classed in 5th. Then we have Andrew Love in 6th. Alan DeGassis ends up in 7th. Jim Brewster in P8. James Matthew Sheldon will finish in 9th. And Jason Green will round out your top 10.
Yeah, and then behind Jason Green in Spec 2, we have Scott Brayler in 11th place. In 12th, we have Nate Colasio. In 13th, Parvinder Ladar, who was able to survive all that stuff. Definitely had my eye on him a couple times, and he avoided a bunch of stuff out there. Justin Huffman in 14th. John Toms in 15th. Michelle Lynn, unfortunately, catching that falling anvil again. Asked me to throw that graphic up for him. Maybe next time we won't run it, and we won't have a falling anvil. Kurt Nunez in 17th. Stevie Ray also falling victim to some shenanigans there coming down the hill through the kink, and finishes in 18th place. Let's see if we can't keep this moving along here where our graphics are not wanting to play ball. There we go. 19th, Travis Rail. 20th, Jason Grider, Murphy Nichols in 21st, Nick Tolo in 22nd, Brian Hansen in 23rd, Brian Trzynski in 23rd, Abrilo Garcia in 25th place. In 26th, we have Wayne Buttermore. In 27th, Antonio Reese, a little bit out of place today. Definitely falling anvils for him, I believe, as well. Jeffrey Beck in 28th. Jesus Rodriguez, as we saw, getting absolutely launched off the road there on about the 3rd or 4th lap. Also falling anvil today with Russell Telker. Also with the falling anvils, Michael Laturo in 31st. 32nd, Richie Kohan. 33rd, Suleiman Khan. 34th, Kane Lasky, way out of position, 4 laps down in 34th place. Definitely falling anvils there. Chris Montgomery and Andrew Baylor rounding out the bottom of the field there with plus 19 laps. It looks like he probably just didn't take the start today.
So those are your results at the end of this Formula V Weekend Warriors race here at Summit Point. An instant classic. There can be no doubt about it.
Absolutely.
We got a lot of drivers waiting in the interview waiting area. I don't think we're going to have time to chat with a whole lot of them. I'm looking through. I'm curious who we want to have a chat with because Tortello not up there in the interview waiting area. However, some of the drivers that he battled with were... I think, Josh, we may end up getting this started with... there we go. Right as I say that, Tortello appears in the interview waiting area. So I'll bring in Tortello to have a chat with him at the end of this race. Tor, welcome into the commentary booth right from the get-go. I wanted to apologize for my gravelly voice, but you drivers out there on the racetrack gave us one hell of a race to talk about here at Summit Point. It was exciting from our perspective in the commentary booth. How was it from your perspective behind the wheel?
Man, I gotta say, I'm kind of out of breath. It was just a big fist fight for the entire race. I thought at some points we could work together, but absolutely not. Just an absolute brawl. But it was great to be able to race with a lot of guys that I really respect, like Giancarlo, the Huffmans, Morgan. It was great to be able to finally get in like a race with them after quite some time.
It was pretty cool to see all you drivers out there on the racetrack. Usually a broadcaster would be like, oh yeah, seeing you young guys out on the track. Y'all are basically my age because I'm 20. So it's like seeing people my own age out there on track and giving us one hell of a battle to talk about here in the commentary booth. First time we've gotten a chance to battle with some of them, at least for a little bit, and doing so around a racetrack like this. I don't know what it is, but Summit Point just puts on instant classic after instant classic and what feels like every single time we come here.
Yeah, it's just not good for my heart, honestly. We had a lot of 0x's, a lot of like flying gravel, a lot of falling anvils, but yeah, at the end it was just I didn't really even expect to win there. I just got a really lucky and got a well-timed little move down the inside, and yeah, it was a great bit of fun.
And from our perspective in the commentary booth, I can relate to the heart troubles. And also one more point, I swear the falling anvil has just become like prerequisite Weekend Warriors lore at this point in time. I'm not entirely sure how to feel about that, but Tor, really good race for you and also going to help you out a whole lot in that championship fight coming into the final 2 races. Going to be rocking up to Cadwell Park in 1 week's time. Kind of a multifaceted question here. Since you are a Formula V driver in the UK, I'm going to ask you if that's a track you've driven at in real life and what your thoughts are heading into the next race of this Formula V Weekend Warrior season.
Yeah, Cadwell is a track that I've driven in real life, and it's a lot of good memories there, and it's a track I absolutely adore. And I'm just, I don't know, I'm just looking at the big picture, but I'm just hoping to finish in front of Jason and hopefully clinch the 3rd title.
And that'd be pretty awesome, your 2nd in a row, which would be pretty dang cool as well. But Tor, thank you so much for joining us in the commentary booth, and thank you as well for giving us a really good battle. But I'll give you the floor to give any thanks or shouts out that you would like before we let you go.
Just want to say thank you to Brabham Motorsport, and just a big thank you to SMB and to all the other drivers in that pack today for just keeping it clean and not taking me out.
Alrighty, man. Hey, they didn't take you out. Instead, I think they took my vocal cords out, which is not ideal considering I've got the 2 Weekend Warriors broadcasts to do tomorrow. But nevertheless, Tor, thank you so much for joining us in the commentary booth, and congratulations on a win here at Summit Point.
Thank you so much for having me.
And that right there was Tortullo, your race winner here at Summit Point. And Josh, would you like to have a chat with our Spec 2 winner of Ethan Orr?
Yeah, let's do it. Ethan, how's it going, my man? You got a Spec 2 second place today, I believe. I believe Jameson just kind of pipped you out there. What a wild race it was. Or is Jameson in S1 or S2, or did we get that wrong?
That's the I believe that's the Iracing, our live timing software getting crapped at, Ethan. I mean, you can speak to it for sure about your perspective towards the finish, but our live timing and scoring software had you marked in 4th when in reality you finished in 3rd, so it is a Spec 2 win from Ethan Orr. Anyways, Josh, I'll pass it back on to you.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah. So Spec 2 win for Ethan Orr. It was absolutely frenetic out there today, but it looks like everybody was able to keep it ultra clean, including yourself there with the lucky Christmas livery on. How'd you see it out there today?
Yeah, it was great. It was really chaotic. You had to keep your head on a swivel racing in a pack like that. But yeah, everyone really worked together to keep it clean, and I was really grateful for that.
Yeah, it definitely looked like it. We were just kind of holding our breath here and there. Oh man, it's gonna, it's gonna happen here. It's gonna happen there. But it never really did. We had a very clean race, and it looks like you guys were jockeying for position really well there, right down to the very end, and you were able to grab that Spec 2 win. Are you out there thinking about just kind of fighting the track? Are you trying to be as pointy as you can, or is it more just a kind of game of kind of just relaxing and trying to let things happen in front of you?
Well, when you're in traffic this intense in a draft track like this and the leaders are fighting, at a certain point you just forget about the racing lines and you're just focusing on the guy ahead of you. You don't want to run into the back of him and the field's, bunching up and then spreading out all over the time. So, really, it's just about reacting to the drivers around you, and you kind of forget about what's going on the track.
Right, yeah, that's probably really good advice. Reacting to the drivers around you is definitely what it looked like out there today. We're going 3 wide and 4 wide almost every lap into T1 and stuff there. So really good drive today, nice and clean. Is there anybody you'd like to thank out there today, Ethan?
Yeah, I'd like to thank all the weekend warriors for coming out. It was a great race. I had a fun time, so thanks for putting this on, and thank you guys for putting on the broadcast, and everyone watching at home.
Excellent, and I believe we're headed out to Cadwell Park next week. Is that a track that you enjoy there? I know it's one of my favorite tracks, but man, it takes some laps around there to really kind of get comfortable, and it's not an easy one to race around. So, are you looking forward to that one, or not so much?
Yeah, I've been having a good time lapping in practice, and I've raced there once or twice, and the racing normally turns out pretty fun, so I'm excited for it.
Excellent, right on. Well, we'll be looking forward to watching you around Cadwell Park, and have a good week, Ethan. We'll check you next time, and good win today.
Thanks. See you guys.
And that right there was Ethan Orr, your Spec 2 winner here at Summit Point. So we're also going to have a quick little chat with Mr. Jim Brewster, your victor in the Masters category.
Yeah, I can see why the
C5
C5 is a Spec class, because it's amazing.
Nope, looks like we caught a mid-conversation there.
Sorry for bringing it in there right in
teaching somebody something.
Sentence. That's it was just napped you into the commentary booth.
Well,
hello, Jim. Welcome
SCCA
in.
Racers. Hey, what do you think? So I'm calling this the War of the Worlds. We brought the best of the Summit Point. So as you know, those young gentlemen that were here from the SCCA were co-SCCA Rookie of the Year 2 or 3 years ago. Okay. And as you know, one of them has gone pro since then, and they all are just keep driving faster and faster. And they all have been racing with Stevie on Tuesday and Wednesday nights, I think, since they were in grade school. So a bunch of them have more laps than you can count in real life and in iRacing. So, and I sort of gave them a speech to try to behave like Weekend Warriors instead of the SCCA Wednesday night group. So I'm thrilled if we had a clean race. I just was battling constantly. I made a mistake. I went side by side with Andrew in the last lap through turn 3, and that allowed Alan to get by me. And if I had tucked in behind Andrew, I could have held that one more spot. But every inch of the race for me was good. I hope the video was amazing.
Yeah, just let me cut in for 1 sec there, Ron. I was just mentioning at the beginning there that it looked like we had a bit of a star-studded lineup of drivers today, and I'm just being vindicated there that I was right, basically. I was right. Not only is this track awesome, and you guys knew it really well, but man, we got a lot of really good drivers out there. And to be honest, I was actually following you at the end because I was kind of pegging you to maybe take at least a podium today. But I'll get you back to Ron here. Ron, go for it.
Hey, thanks.
I'll step back into the into this interview, and I will say, Jim, just from my perspective in the commentary booth, the finish of that race, and I just saw a photo in the Formula V Discord server of the overhead view of that finish between Tor, Giancarlo Schuler, Huffman, and Orr. That was just pure unbridled madness. That was possibly the loudest I've ever screamed in my entire time doing iRacing broadcasting. I feel like it may be a little bit biased since you are the series admin, but this series just simply does not ever disappoint.
So I started this conversation with the War of the Worlds. So what's the score if Thor won? If Thor won the race, is that us Weekend Warriors 1, SCCA 0? What do you think?
I guess it would be that. Yeah, I mean, here's a real question to raise. Has Tor done some stuff with the SCCA? Because he
races in England. He races in England.
I am.
That's why
aware
I'm
of
saying
that.
War of the Worlds.
Yeah. Usually, whenever we think of Tor, I usually just associate him with the Weekend Warriors series and all that jazz. I do know that, like a couple of years ago, before he and his dad moved over to the UK,
Right.
I
Yes, they were here.
Did some
Yeah.
stuff in New Hampshire.
Okay, it's possible. Yeah.
You'll have to.
I think some carts maybe. I'm not sure. We'll have to catch. We'll just have to bring him in the booth and ask him some questions. I just would like to always remember, because I forget when I hear him on the radio in the car. He sounds rather somber, but the minute you see his face, he is. As I grow old, I hope I stay as happy as Tor is. I mean, he just looks like one of the truly happy people, and I'm thrilled by that. I think the whole world needs more people that default to a smile.
Amen, Jim. Wiser words have never been said, and I gotta say as well, always nice to have you in the commentary booth as well, because you definitely are in the same vein as that, always having a smile on your face and always putting.
So did you come up with any new sayings today, Ron? Did you break out any new ones?
That's a very good question. For the Bathurst 12-hour show that I was on a matter of about 35 minutes before this broadcast started here for the Formula Vs,
Yes.
I said that the Mustang occasionally handled like a trash bag full of lasagna thrown off the roof of a skyscraper. So I guess we
I
have
think
a new
that's
one.
accurate. Yes. And the question is that the Mustang or is that the Mustang drivers?
Oh, I will say I was doing that broadcast with a gentleman who's big into Mustangs, so I couldn't really say that. However, I will note one of the most infamous videos of Mustang drivers hitting second gear and driving up into a curb and
A crowd of people.
throwing some people down was
it coffee
actually
and cars?
filmed not terribly not terribly far away from my house here in the northeast of Philadelphia. So
Jeepers.
the more you know, I guess. I have never been able to see that intersection the same.
Hey, I gotta say hi to Tam. Tam, I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you're on the edge of your seat. I hope your pulse went up a little bit. As you see, and Andrew and I had a lot of fun racing each other. We were after I dragged Alan and I can't remember who else up to that pack. You know, Andrew was sort of the back, and so he and I really got to have some fun. Anyway, I'll see you guys next week. Thanks for everything you do. I can't wait to watch the video.
Yeah, it was a good one. It was a good one.
Despite the fact I occasionally sound like I was speaking in tongues, it was still a brilliant race. So, Jim, I think you'll definitely be enjoying it when you get a chance to see this broadcast back. Thanks for joining us.
You bet. See ya.
That right there was Jim Brewster, series admin and winner here in the Masters category at Summit Point. I don't even know what we can say at the end of this broadcast, Josh.
Yeah, that was, I think you got it right there. That's a classic, instant classic here for slow motion broadcasting and for the Ray Esports League that is just always bringing the heat when it comes to racing here. There is so many things for us to get to this week as well, Ron. Perhaps we can go through our weekly stuff here, and we'll start out with Tuesday for you. We can't move that over there, but what an amazing race today, Ron.
Well, it is an absolutely brilliant race, and just part of the wonderful action here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. You can catch the action for the American Muscle Series. We talked about Mustangs a couple of moments ago. This is not the Mustang that I was referring to on the Bathurst 12. I think it's I think the last time that this version of the Mustang ran in an iRacing Bathurst 12-hour special event. I'm not even sure if they even had the Bathurst 12-hour special event at that point in time. Either way, I was probably in elementary school regardless, but you can still catch the old Mustang in the American Muscle Series every single Tuesday here on SMB. Then, in 24 hours after that, we've got the action from Wild Card Wednesdays here on SMB. You can catch the action for the Ray Esports Club Racing League at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And right towards the end of that show, you'll be able to catch the action from the Sim Racers Group Intermediate F4 Championship. They've only got a couple races left to go. They're looking to crown a champion in those F4 cars. You can catch all that action every Wednesday. Then come time for the weekends, we got the Formula V Weekend Warriors. You can catch the Formula Vs every single Saturday at 2:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with Cadwell coming up. Then tomorrow, we've got the action from the Formula Fords running at Knock Hill and the Weekend Warriors Spec Racer Fords later on, about 2 hours between those two shows. The Formula Fords at 12:45 Eastern, the Spec Racer Fords at 2:45 Eastern. They've got some pretty good racing. VIR gonna play host in the next Spec Racer Ford race. Then at the end of Sundays, to decompress after a brilliant weekend of racing action, we've got the action from the XS All-R Series. We got some 410 wing dirt sprint cars running around USA International Speedway, the site of this very screenshot. See, I can occasionally think from time to time, even though you probably won't believe me based off some of the stuff I say on the air from time to time. That's all the stuff we got coming up here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. Gives you a good reason to subscribe. And also hit that notification bell so you never miss out on any of the racing action. But as for this thriller of a race here at Summit Point and this broadcast, that will just about do it. And so for myself, Ron Mullins, and Josh Wilkie working the comms and the cams with me on today's broadcast, I say thank you all so very much for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and we hope to see you all wherever it is in the not too distant future. Season 1 of 2025. Let's see what sort of adventures that it has in store. And pace cars way through the corner. That wasn't the crest doing him dirty.
There right off the beginning is something you probably want to monopolize on right away, honestly, in a rain race.
Involved in that as well. Godin, I believe, is a newer racer. Oh, that's a big crash coming out of the corner. Right as I was mentioning all of those racers, that we saw him have that off-track moment not terribly long ago, and he has come back from a And oh my god, that's a big wreck coming out of turn number 4. Multiple cars around, a little bit of contact going to Chris Montgomery as well. I saw that car kind of jerk around a little bit through that corner, but you can see Montgomery maybe got to size up a move on Coliseum as Coliseum may try and get a move on him. At that is 5-6 cars covered by just about nothing on this racetrack. Nearly 4 wide through the corner. Look at Coliseum going in way deep into turn 5. He's got to lose out on that spot on Chris Montgomery and maybe Coliseum. Too long contact being. Weekly Formula V Weekend Warriors crash him up Wreckfest at the checkered flag. May God have mercy on both Josh and I's graphics cards because the event does.